Oh, wow, hey? The Green left, the Liberal left, the woke left, whatever you want to call them, they are ascendant in politics at the moment. There's no denying that. The Democrats in the US, Labor and the Greens here and in most of the Australian states. Even half of the Conservative governments in the UK and Europe behave much more like the Green left, especially on climate change policy. And boy, are we heading for strife. Look at the energy crisis in Europe and Britain. Look at the chaos on the US-Mexican border. Look at the eye-watering government debt in nations like our own. And look at the inflation and cost of living crises that are causing pain as a result. And none of these governments seem to recognise their errors. And they're promising to do more of the same when it comes to renewable energy, when it comes to soft borders, when it comes to spending, and when it comes to debt. It's really worrying now. It's a really worrying time because the left are running rampant and you and your children will have to pay the price. Let me show you perhaps the worst example, certainly the latest example, and it's going to create chaos in the United States. President Joe Biden, desperate to reclaim some political popularity, desperate to put some life into his administration ahead of the midterm elections, well, he just unleashed a decision that could add $500 billion, $500 billion to US government debt. He is forgiving student debts in a massively generous scheme that is mean-tested to a degree, but forgives $10,000 in student debt for some, double that for others.
All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt, to get on top of their rent and their utilities, to finally think about buying a home or starting a family or starting a business. And by the way, when this happens, the whole economy is better off.
The debt doesn't go away. There's still debt. There's $500 billion worth of debt shunted onto taxpayers. More debt. Higher inflation. I don't know that this is going to be great for the US economy. But think about what it does for the concept of fairness, personal responsibility and self-reliance in the United States. I mean, already students have had a holiday on debt repayments during the pandemic. Now they get this handout, and it's truly worrying to see how for many of them, even that is not enough.
$20K in student loan forgiveness for Pell Grant recipients? Okay, come on, Joe. I know a lot of us wanted more, but I'm going to take what I can get at this point because that student debt is looking hefty. Thank you so much, Joe. We did it, Joe.
So respectfully, Uncle Joe, because I do love you, but you have not needed my money in 2 years. More than 2 years. So, why do I have to give you anything? Why?
No, this feels discouraging because for the vast majority of people, that is not enough. But what this is telling us is two things. Number one, Biden does have the power to cancel all federal student loan debt. He's just choosing not to.
Well, how about that sense of entitlement? And how about the lack of comprehension about where this money will come from? Someone has to pay. And yes, the people who will pay eventually are American taxpayers, working people who'll pay higher taxes to pick up the student loans of others. Even workers, of course, who never go to college themselves will pay for those who did. Have a listen to this bloke who will benefit from the latest debt scheme, but recognises how wrong it is.
So I'm speaking to you as someone who has had student debt and paid it off and went back to school within the last 5 years and currently has student debt. So make sure you note that when I'm saying this. I took the damn note out. I took the damn loan. It's my responsibility to pay it back, not yours.
We live in a world where those are old-fashioned values. In the digital age, apparently we all expect something for nothing, and we don't even have to think about who's going to pay. And what about all those people who have scrimped and saved and already paid their student loans or not taken them out in the first place to avoid their debt? They might just feel completely betrayed now, like this man who confronted former Democrat presidential hopeful Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us who did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we started,
of course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations, I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's worksheet is 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing and we get screwed.
Land of the free, hey? Land of the free-for-all. Sure, this is America, but this is a classic example of the reckless economics and ruinous social impact of weak, woke government. Even in this country. Be afraid, be very afraid.